So today is going to be an interesting day. We're going to be doing a day in the life of a video editor. How ridiculous that sounds. But got a lot of things to do. In this season of my life, I wanted to share some time management stuff to kind of get me prepared for doing things on the main channel. But I wanted to kind of get a little familiar with shooting stuff again. It's been a while. So we'll be walking through that. And I want to share some things that I've learned the past few months. Been interesting, to say the least. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so this is kind of a snapshot of the day. I keep this whiteboard next to me at all times during the workday by my desk. So it just gives me a snapshot of like what the next thing I have to do. So I have bills on here just to give me an idea of like where the money's at. And then I also have some like invoices that are already out from different clients. But this is about 6 projects. This is just a regular whiteboard. My wife was kind enough to kind of put this together. I can efficiently do about 10 projects at a time. 6 is about like my sweet spot that I can keep track of. So I try to kind of base it off of this. But this first 4 is work I'm doing inside of an agency. I'm building some stuff. And then these are 2 long-term clients that I've been working with month to month for years. So here's kind of the checklist for today. I'm going to be doing some client work. We're going to do a workout. And then I'll start moving into the agency stuff. I got to do a podcast. I have to export some stuff for some editors. I'm doing some music for a Jerry Seinfeld sizzle that I'm putting together, which is cool. And then once I do that, I need to answer some questions on YouTube, do some file management, and then I'll start pulling some quotes and B-roll for that Jerry Seinfeld sizzle. And then from there, I'll probably just go through emails. I kind of check on it throughout the day, but these are what I have to do today. This is what I have to get done. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I was talking to my dad recently. He's an entrepreneur as well. And I had this client that was paying their invoices consistently very late. And they actually put us in like a really tough position these past few months. And I was trying to get some advice from him. And he said, son, I know you want to find the good in people. I know you want to trust them. Doesn't matter how long you've been working with them. Life happens. Things happen. You cannot trust anyone. How do y'all feel about that? So it just hit 10 o'clock. We worked out, we showered, we got some things done this morning, answered some emails, finished out a client's project, and I took my lady to work. Come on now. All right, so we're going into the second half. I got some more client work with podcast Scrolling to Death. Really cool podcast. And then I'll be putting together some music for Jerry Seinfeld. If I have time before lunch or maybe during lunch, I'll answer questions on YouTube. Let's get into that. You got to get around the people that want to see you succeed. I got to tip my hat to my wife all the time because she really can pick me up if I'm in a really bad state. And these past few months have easily been the hardest that I've ever gone through. And I've been able to lean on her to kind of get through the really, really tough days. All right, so I think it just passed 11:30, getting some good work done. Finished a lot of just project management, had to do a bunch of graphics for a client. That's part of that podcast. And then just submitting reviews to editors, comments from the client. She's so quick with it, which is really nice. Just keeping up with that. I think the next thing is, while I was playing with Nala, I was recording some tracks for, I think, this music for Jerry Seinfeld. So I'm going to be putting that in there, and then I think by that time it'll be around noon, and then I'll have to take out Nala and eat something, and while I do that, I'm going to answer some YouTube questions. I'm going to kind of tone down the B-roll for this just so I can give my camera a rest, but I'll have some shots to include as well. So let's get into that. So you'll see that I'm finishing up my day. There isn't too many things that happen. I work a lot all day, and to try and find a storyline in there, I might need just a little bit more time, but this is kind of what it looks like on day-to-day stuff. So it's nothing too exciting, but I wanted to share more of what I found out these past few months because, like I said, it's been the hardest, but I feel like one of the things that I'm still working through, and it's always going to be coming in reminders, but it's trying to take my ego out of almost every single situation I put myself in. I take a lot of things personally, and there's a lot of situations where I really didn't have to. I didn't have to. But your ego, my ego, it talks to you constantly. It gives you choices to make. And, the only things that you can honestly control are your choices. You can control what you can do. And I know people talk about this at length about stuff, but that is kind of the self-awareness that I've needed to get out of this depressive state that I've been in these past few months. Like, a lot of it has come from the financial burdens. I've had to make some tough decisions, and none of those have felt good at all. But I think it has humbled me in such a way to, one, not take anything for granted, and two, get the other foot in front of the other. Like, at the end of the day, I am going to make a visual of this. It doesn't have to be animated, but it's really this. Say that these are two tasks, and this is the starting point right above this microphone. And these two tasks, say that you have a laundry list of 10 other things that are just sitting right here. They're all invisible right now, but there's two things that you really want to do right here. As you're, getting these done or pushing these forward, these two things could be you. It could be your family. It could be just things that you really need or you really want in life. But as you're doing all of those tasks, you're finishing them out, you're pushing them forward day to day, these two, you just want to move it up ever so slightly. And that's where you probably heard the phrase of 1% better each day. That is truly how you get to a better place, is doing something for yourself or doing something 1% better every single day. So yeah, so it's kind of taking out my ego, 1% better. And another thing is spending time completely in silence. I feel like I found this out a few months ago, but I always have to keep revisiting it because my days just get bogged down with opportunities all the time, or I feel overwhelmed with something. If someone sent me a bad comment, or if things are just going on in my personal life, like I constantly have to reassess. And if you're moving in a lot of different directions, you start to lose where you're going. So spending that time to think about all of the things you have to do, because once you actually put yourself in the situation to where you can think and put out, maybe it's a list, I don't know what it is. Like, you have to find that for yourself. And I still have to find different ways on how I work, whether it's sticky notes, whether it's something on my computer, if that is a CRM, whatever it is. I feel like I've gone through seasons of all of those things. So right now, what's working right now, as you saw in the video, was a whiteboard. The whiteboard is just like, boom, I have this scoreboard in front of me here. Like, I can operate because I can just look and see my scoreboard. So that's what's working for me right now in this season. So getting back to the point, we've talked about ego. I've talked about getting 1% better and sitting in silence. I think what has enabled all of those things to happen is that I don't use this. This has truly been my number one, weak point, my problem. All of our problems are self-imposed. That is for sure. I have to take responsibility and keep myself accountable of dude, this is actually a choice that you made somewhere down the line, and now you have to deal with it. Now the rubber meets the road. The bill comes due, whatever phrase you want to use. But a lot of my problems were around this. I played the comparison game way too hard, and I was way too angry and upset and frustrated with myself. And a lot of it just stemmed from what I saw online. So a lot of people haven't seen me post things online because I'm like, oh my God, this thing is making me sick. It's making me feel terrible, and a very first world problem thing. But this phone, man, this phone will mess you up. So I just wanted to share those things. I'm still a work in progress, of course, but I do hope that this helps someone, or really most of it is just reminders. I know this isn't good for you. I know ego is bad, or the ego can really, take things in a different place, but try and sit with yourself. Try to spend more time with what you want to do. Try and push those projects, those passions, those interests one step further. Just 1%. Doesn't have to be this big gesture to yourself. Because as soon as you know it, if you're able to move those things over months' time, you started here. You might end up out of frame, It's like, hey, I actually made some progress on this. It's not a reminder that these are always sitting here. Because the reality is that they're always going to sit here. They're always going to be waiting for you. But if you want to see it grow, you have to put in that 1% effort. All right, I'll end it there. Thank you all for tuning in. Who knows who's going to tune into this? I hope it was interesting. I just know that I needed a video like this. So I want to thank my wife again for encouraging me to make this. And thank you guys again. Hope you guys are doing well. I know it's rough out there. I know we're all going through it. Just keep your head up because I'm trying my best to do the same. Thank y'all.